A 16-year-old in Melbourne earns $40 mowing a neighbor's lawn. By the time he gets home, he has already spent $60. Not tomorrow. Not next week. He spent it 3 days ago on a skin bundle in Fortnite using a buy now, pay later app that asked for nothing but his phone number. His bank balance says positive. His actual position is negative. And he has no idea. This is not a story about irresponsible teenagers. This is a story about a financial system that learned how to collect from people before they earn, before they understand interest, before they even feel the wound. Teenagers today are not just broke. They are broke before their first paycheck clears. And the companies engineering this outcome are worth billions. The question is not whether your child will encounter these systems. The question is whether anyone will explain the trap before it closes. In 2019, Afterpay processed around $5 billion in sales across Australia and New Zealand. By 2022, that figure had grown to over $22 billion globally. The company did not achieve this by lending to wealthy adults. It achieved this by making debt feel like a payment method. There is no credit check, no thick paperwork, no scary word like loan anywhere on the screen. A 15-year-old sees 4 easy payments of $12. What they do not see is that missing 1 payment triggers a late fee, and missing 2 can send the account to collections. Afterpay, Klarna, Zip, and dozens of imitators all use the same psychology. They remove friction. They reframe debt as convenience. And they specifically target products teenagers want: sneakers, gaming accessories, festival tickets. The business model depends on a percentage of users failing to pay on time. That failure is not a bug. It is the margin. When adults fall into this, we call it poor planning. When teenagers fall into it, we should ask who built the slide. In 2023, a report from C+R Research found the average American underestimates their monthly subscription spending by more than $100. Adults, with jobs and budgets, lose track. Now imagine a 14-year-old. She signs up for Spotify Premium because her friend shared a playlist. She adds Discord Nitro for custom emojis. She subscribes to a Patreon for a creator she watched once. She trials Adobe for a school project and forgets to cancel. Each service costs between $5 and $15. None of them send a warning before renewal. By the end of the year, she has spent over $400 on software she barely uses, charged to a debit card linked to birthday money. This is not laziness. This is design. Subscription companies measure success by a metric called retention, which often just means how hard it is to leave. Spotify buries cancellation. YouTube Premium requires 5 clicks to exit. Adobe charges an early termination fee even on monthly plans. The system is optimized for one outcome: silent, recurring extraction. The first defense is not willpower. It is a quarterly calendar reminder to audit every active subscription. In 2020, the video game industry generated more revenue than film and music combined. Most of that money did not come from selling games. It came from selling things inside games. Fortnite is free to download. But Epic Games made over $9 billion in its first 2 years, almost entirely from cosmetic purchases. Skins, dances, battle passes, none of them change gameplay. All of them change status. This is the engine. Make the game free so everyone plays, then sell identity. A teenager who refuses to buy skins is technically equal in the match. Socially, they are marked. They are default. They are poor. The pressure is not from Epic. It is from the friend group. Roblox takes this further. Its young developers, some as young as 10, create games with their own microtransaction systems. Roblox takes up to 75% of every sale. The child creator earns pennies. The child consumer spends real money on virtual hats. And both believe they are winning. The game industry did not stumble into this. It borrowed from casino psychology, hired behavioral economists, and built variable reward systems that trigger the same dopamine loops as slot machines. When your child says the game is free, ask what they have already paid. In 2015, Supreme, a skateboard brand, sold a plain red brick for $30. It sold out instantly. Resale prices climbed past $100. The brick did nothing. It sat on a shelf. It signaled membership. This is the logic of status spending, and teenagers are not immune. They are the primary target. Nike's SNKRS app uses lottery-style drops that create artificial scarcity. Teenagers wake at 6 in the morning to enter draws for sneakers that cost $200 and resell for $500. Most lose the draw. Some win and immediately flip. A small number wear the shoes. All of them absorb the same lesson. Value is created by exclusion. A study from Piper Sandler in 2023 found that American teenagers spend an average of $2,150 annually. The top category was clothing. The top brands were Nike, Lululemon, and Shine. Fast fashion and luxury sit in the same shopping cart because the goal is the same: looking like you belong. The cruelty of status spending is that it never finishes. The next drop is always coming. The only way out is to name the game and decide, consciously, how much of your money is actually buying fabric versus buying approval. In 2021, TikTok introduced TikTok Shop. By 2023, it was processing billions in transactions. The platform learned that discovery and purchase are most powerful when they happen in the same breath. A user sees a video of someone unboxing a ring light. 4 seconds later, a yellow basket icon appears. One tap, and the product is in their cart. No Google search, no price comparison, no pause. This is shoppable content, and it is engineered for impulse. The TikTok algorithm already knows which videos a user watches longest. It knows what sounds they save. It knows when they scroll back to rewatch. It uses that data to surface products calibrated to their desires, often before they have named those desires themselves. A teenager watching workout videos starts seeing protein shakers. One watching hair tutorials starts seeing straighteners. The content feels organic. The sale feels like their idea. Amazon calls its version live shopping. Instagram calls it product tagging. YouTube added a shopping shelf below videos. Every platform is converging on the same insight. Attention is not the final product. Purchase is. And teenagers, with phones in hand for 6 hours a day, are the most attentive customers on earth. In Australia, financial literacy is technically part of the national curriculum. In practice, it occupies a handful of lessons buried inside mathematics or commerce. A 2022 survey by the Australian Securities and Investments Commission found that only 36% of young Australians could correctly answer 3 basic financial questions on interest, inflation, and diversification. A similar study in the United States from FINRA found that Gen Z scored lower on financial literacy than any previous generation tested. And yet, these same teenagers have more access to spending tools than any generation before them. They have debit cards at 12. They have buy now, pay later at 15. They have crypto wallets at 16. The financial industry gave them the steering wheel without teaching them to drive. This gap is not accidental. Schools are funded by governments. Governments are lobbied by industries that profit from consumer ignorance. There is no conspiracy. There is just no incentive. Credit card companies do not benefit from educated borrowers. Subscription platforms do not benefit from users who cancel quickly. The knowledge exists. The delivery system does not. The practical move is simple but unfashionable. Parents must teach what schools will not, and they must start years earlier than feels comfortable. In 2020, a Deloitte study found that 54% of Gen Z respondents said they live paycheck to paycheck. The number was higher than older generations with more expenses. The reason is straightforward. When income arrives, it meets a crowd of obligations already waiting. Subscriptions renew, payment installments process, saved credit cards auto-charge. A 17-year-old starts a casual job earning $400 a week. By the time their pay clears, $200 has already exited. They see the deposit. They do not feel wealthy. They feel exactly as broke as they did before. This is the normalization of negative float. Financially literate adults call it cash flow management. Teenagers call it confusing. The instinct is to earn more, which often means more hours, more fatigue, and worse school results. The actual lever is simpler. Cut the automated outflows before they become invisible. Every recurring charge should require a decision, made once a quarter, with full knowledge of the annual cost. The wealthiest families in the world do this. They call it a spending review. It takes 30 minutes and often saves hundreds. The difference between feeling broke and being broke often comes down to a calendar notification. There is a pattern running through all of these chapters. Buy now, pay later turns debt into a checkout button. Subscriptions turn forgetting into recurring revenue. Video games turn status anxiety into microtransactions. Algorithms turn attention into impulse. Schools turn away. And the first paycheck arrives to find itself already spent. The common thread is not that teenagers are careless. It is that every system touching their money has been designed by professionals whose success depends on extracting more than the teenager notices. The asymmetry is vast. On one side, behavioral economists, retention engineers, ad tech platforms, and user experience designers with budgets in the hundreds of millions. On the other side, a teenager with a phone and no formal training. The fix is not outrage. The fix is education, delivered early, repeated often, and paired with practical habits. A quarterly subscription audit. A 48-hour rule before any purchase over $50. A visible savings account with a specific goal. These are not complicated. They are unfashionable. They work. The teenagers who understand money early do not become perfect. They become harder to deceive. That is enough. Financial traps do not announce themselves. They arrive as convenience, as fun, as normal. The teenagers who see them clearly will build differently. The ones who do not will spend years climbing out. Subscribe to First Page Academy for the next lesson in money, power, and decisions.